Got to, man. Gotta bounce back. Shout out to my homie Keys, Xavier Keys, on the vocals on this. Okay. Honestly, they couldn't stop me if they wanted to. Gotta get up, go out and get it, and that's what I'm gonna do. I've been focused, I'm not hungry. Yo, I'm starving, dude. Grind mode with my team, we making these power moves. Honestly, they couldn't stop me if they wanted to. Gotta get up, go out and get it, and that's what I'm gonna do. I've been focused, I'm not hungry. Yo, I'm starving, dude. In grind mode with my team, we making these power moves. Cause I ain't got no time to be wasting with all this music I'm making. Man, I'm tired of being impatient, so I keep making these moves here with my crew. Vow to myself to always stay true, so I don't care what nobody else do. I know why. Like an erection, bumps in the road, but nah, I ain't stressing. I don't work out, but homie, I'm flexing. Every time I get on the beat and I bless it. Rise and shine, and I never let another come and stop my grind. Cause I grind all night at the gig, no lie. Then it's back in the booth for some overtime. Come on. Nope. Shout out to Miss Alma Ramos. Shout out to Miss B. I said, hey. My mom told me to get them, so I don't care what y'all say. I just keep grinding. Yeah, I stay working, cause it's, you know, I said, that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make y'all mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. I can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working. One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, on the grind, getting mine, I'm working. No sleep. Spit heat, killing these tracks, and I'm not gonna stop till I'm up on top where I'm supposed to be. Everywhere I go, I scream SP. We're more than a crew, we a family. Working trying to get a couple Grammys, G, having sitting on top of the mantelpiece. Thank God. Go hard, they just mad cause I'm on my job. But where I'm from is to the ground to starve. Starving, I just can't do it. Not having it, unthinkable. So I turn in and stretch Armstrong, and now I can reach the unreachable. Let's go. Hey, trying to. Yo, I said I can't sit still. I just laugh at y'all haters. Cause, yeah, hey, mom's told me, so why don't, let's go, I just keep, yeah, I stay, cause it's, you know, I said, that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make you mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. I can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working. One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, on the grind, getting mine, I'm working. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't get what you want. Whatever you dreaming for, you get out there and you get it. You make it happen. Never mind the haters. Real spill. Cause all day, always, get 'em. Yes sir. I'm grinding. Stay working. Hey, I said that's right. In the lab with a pen and a pad, let's ride. Make it look so easy, don't it make you mad? One thing I know, one thing is certain. Can't stop, won't stop, cause me and my team stay working.
Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora.
Good morning, Aurora.
The time is now 8 a.m. and you are listening to and watching another episode of Jenettesplaining here on Good Morning, Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. Michelle.
Thank you, live audience. Thank you.
Michelle Gums. Good morning. Josie Mendoza Geller. Happy Friday to you, too. Good to see you, wonderful. Jennifer Ryan Mayton. Good morning to you as well. It is Friday. You have all made it. So good to see you people. I'm glad that you are all here. We have news for you today. And then we also have something else to tell you about in regards to what we
got all the
mentioned
things
yesterday
today
about the memorial potentially coming. Potentially for our 1,000th death in Kane County. National Hug Day. Good morning to you, Jennifer Ryan Mayton.
It's National Hug Day.
It is.
Well, that's amazing. We gotta hug it out later.
It is. It is. So how was your week?
Camera. When the camera goes on, we're going all in on this group hug, guys. Get excited. My week was busy. It was stupid busy, which I hate. People, we kind of worship at the altar of busyness in our society, right? It's all about the hustle, and I respect that, but also sometimes you just get tired and you need a nap.
Right. Aisha Saxon, good morning. Vanessa Rodriguez Aguirre, good morning. Monica, how was your week?
It was good.
Good.
She said.
Good.
Very good. All right.
Really, really rolling with it.
So before we get started, our friends at the Aurora Public Library are hiring. They're hiring for a few positions, actually. They are part-time positions. The first two are digital services assistants, Class A and Class B. Part-time at the downtown branch of Santori Library, and then the third is a circulation clerk. That's part-time at the Eola branch. So shout out to the Aurora Public Library for providing jobs.
And for working at libraries in general.
That's right.
Which I do. It's a group of introverts exactly like you would expect from among your coworkers.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Everyone's super smart, but we're all kind of like, are you doing that? Am I going to do that? Okay, I'll do it.
I always wanted to work at a library when I was young. That would have been cool.
I did work at a library. That was actually my very first job, so I have really come full circle. So my very, very first job when I was 14 was working for the summer reading program at the Messenger Public Library in North Aurora. So shout out to the librarians out there. Yeah. Nice. Yep. So now I'm back at a library. That happened.
Yesterday was a bad day. You guys know that we lost a police officer, and then later on I'm going to tell you more health-related news that's very important. And starting next week, we've been telling you guys about this for about another whole week. So get ready to hear about it again because it is very important. The time is now 8:04 a.m.
So we call foreshadowing.
That is foreshadowing. It is foreshadowing. Council Bluffs, Iowa, what up? All right. So, what do we got to talk about today? Let us know the topics.
What is the thing that everybody in town is talking about this week, which is that our mayor is running for governor. So that's kind of crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, he denied it for a little while, like every politician always does. Anytime they've been asked about higher office, they're like, no, I'm focused on the people of wherever I currently represent. And then he finally was like, oh, yeah, and made the big announcement on Martin Luther King Day. Mm-hmm. I think quite intentionally there. Everyone on the wider scale though is kind of talking about is what a fascinating story this is, that we basically now have two billionaires sort of vying for this office, right? Not Irvin himself a billionaire, but the talk of town is just a few days prior to Irvin's announcement. J.B. Pritzker put $90 million of his own money into his own campaign because he can do that because he's a billionaire to the tune of $3 billion or so, which is like an awful lot of money, which you think is an awful lot of money until you know that J.B. Pritzker's arch nemesis in the world of politics is a guy called Ken Griffin who's worth $26 billion and has sung the praises of Richard Irvin and his story for for a while now. So it's the presupposition that everyone's got is that this is going to be the guy that that our mayor is going to be the guy that Griffin puts all of his money behind to kind of get him through the primary and then to the general election against Irvin. So
Interesting.
It's a big story, right? Because like when you've got that much money going into this huge, into this race, that's like it. First of all, it is going to be a long election season. I can't imagine watching TV over luckily you all don't have to because you can just listen to Good Morning Aurora where we have a largely ad-free experience for you, although if you want to advertise, we'll take your money. But the airwaves are just going to be packed, right? Pritzker has said that a lot of that money is also going to, the money that he's donated is also going to go to a lot of Democrats down tickets, but it's definitely just going to be a very, very expensive campaign with a lot of advertising run over the next many months.
Wow.
Yeah. Gear up for that.
Josue Pais, good morning to you as well.
You can't even escape it on the streaming systems because now Hulu will run local ads for people and stuff too. So you just podcasts are where it's at right now. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Norma Peterson is here. Good morning, GAMS, GAMS. Yes, good to see you, Norma. Good to see you very much. So how did the billions? The
billions. There's many of them. It's just many billions. Yeah. It's not Zuckerberg money, but it's close. It's not once you get into the realm of billions, it's just more money than anyone could ever need, ever. Ever. I could see a normal person going through $1 million in their life, no problem. But $1 billion is an order of magnitude much, much larger.
But people should be able to have billions.
Well, and that might be that sort of argument might be the reason that Ken Griffin is particularly the last fight that these two billionaires that are running this our political are sort of behind the political stage right now in Illinois. The last big fight that they duked it out on was actually not the race for governor. It was you'll recall we had a referendum a couple years, 2 years ago. We had the referendum for the fair tax, right? And it was a tax that Pritzker's office had proposed that would have scaled up. So in Illinois, we currently have a flat tax where everybody pays 5%, whether you make $18,000 a year or $180,000 a year, right? You pay 5%, which seems really fair, except that if you only make $18,000 a year, that 5% that comes out of your pocket is an awful, that hurts, right? Because that's basics and necessities. You make it 180, you're like, oh, that sucks, but I'm fine, right? So we had this fair tax amendment come through, and you'll remember all of the ads that destroyed your TV for months leading up to the fair tax amendment referendum vote, and those ads, the ones on the opposite side of that, were also largely funded by Ken Griffin's money. He had vowed to defeat this thing, which I guess makes sense because if you have $26 billion, you're probably, and we have a graduated income tax, you're going to be the guy at the top. You're throwing off the curve for the rest of the class, right? So, yeah.
The primaries are the 28th of June, right?
The primaries are the 28th of June. And that's for the Republican primary so far. No one is challenged Pritzker, and I don't believe anyone is going. I don't know. Someone might, but so far it's an unopposed primary for the Democratic side. So it'll be a primary for the Republican side of things. Election day will be November 8th. So basically, we have like 10 months of this. It's going to get really noisy. Really noisy. So
Josue says no one is talking about that. Interesting.
Nobody's talking about it. I feel like people are talking about it, but maybe not knowing what to make of it yet.
Social media has been alight with different things that I've personally seen. I've seen it talked about in some articles. Denise Crosby wrote a great article recently that was pretty good. It talked about the aloofness of the campaign. Oh, we're not going to run, and we will. That seems to caught people off guard.
I mean, I think that, she called it pondering Irvin's not so surprise announcement for governor, right? Because the murmuring had been going on. And basically, as soon as someone denies running for something, that's when everyone's like, oh, I guess he's running, right? Mm-hmm. So, and her... So she talked quite a bit in the article about the video too that Irvin launched on to kick off his campaign on Martin Luther King Day,
right.
Which is a really fascinating video. If you haven't seen it, we can probably post it. It's there's a delicate line being walked with a lot. So. The campaign, the video opens up, right, with Irvin's story, right, which is an impressive freaking story, right, like descendant of slaves and like how his mom, mm-hmm. growing up in the projects, and he put himself through school and all of this, right, and to be prosecutor, mayor, all of this, right, like it's a cool story, right? It's also he's running on a Republican ticket, and we're in a particularly contentious moment for Republicans trying to court people of color, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's a divisive place out there in the world outside of the collar counties of Illinois, right? You go further south and it gets real fuzzy. So to be a black candidate on a Republican ticket is going to just be a difficult thing, I think, to pull off, especially if you are, trying to keep your own base, too, of black voters who have historically turned out for you, because, of course, why wouldn't you? You want to see people who look like you represented in office. But the campaign video includes lines like "All Lives Matter," which, of course, is... Denise Crosby's article refers to it as a dog whistle, right? For like it's a phrase that is really, really loaded, right? Mm-hmm. Because of course all lives matter. No one's saying all lives don't matter, but it's a response to the Black Lives Matter movement. And so Irvin comes out in this video like really big on his support for police and all these things. Some of the things that that Aurorans have generally liked and come out about.
Right.
And one of the reasons that they reelected him, but it's also just there's a lot of interesting imagery and choice of words going on there to walk this tightrope and try and court downstate voters who have never heard of him before and may not be used to voting for black candidates.
How popular is our mayor outside of Aurora?
Man, that's a good question. We're about to find out. I guess, right? I think with this field of candidates for the Republican primary, the big question, that's like kind of the question for all of them, right? It feels like a lot of unknown people going up against Pritzker, who is very well known. Right.
Bianca Camargo, good morning to you as well. Michelle Gums, running as a Republican, Josue, thank you very much. Cindy Morales is here, good morning. Cheryl Brownell, billionaires make all their money on capital. They don't care about no income tax.
That is very correct, right? That is absolutely true. So most people who make an awful lot of money actually just like all of their money is sitting in investments. They don't, and then they'll just take a loan out on the investment and then they'll put it back. So it's not actually income, so they're not really getting taxed on it. But it's also like kind of like that's a messed up system, right? Like if you got $26 billion, like maybe paying more to Medicaid. I don't know. I'm just saying, like you at that point you have the money to personally fund Medicaid for the entire state.
Right. So what are the questions that people will ask when that time comes for running for governor? And who is his mate? Avery Bourne.
Avery Bourne, who I do not know. I feel like you might. Do you want to fill? Which again is like I feel like the theme of the Republican field right now is like here's a bunch of people whose names I have to Google. So yeah, what I know nothing of her.
Don't know anything about her either. She's a state representative. That's all I know. So she appears to be qualified in office, but I really haven't done any research about Avery Bourne. So what do we think about our mayor running for governor? I think it'll be good for Aurora. I was having a conversation with a friend who said that this will shine light on the city and this will be ultimately good for Aurora.
You know, I do think that the effect will be a lot more attention on the city in general, and there are many things that you can criticize about the urban administration, but there's also like a lot of things that are happening here at the same time. So, which I think we've talked about a lot on the show, right? We've had a lot of development come to town, which is generally considered a good thing, right? At least in our current. The way that we structure cities. And so I think there will be a lot of attention on that, but I don't know. Overall, it's not like when the Olympics come to town, right? Like I don't know that they've done like the math on is it good or not for your mayor to run for the city or to run for the governorship. Either way, we're just going to see just a lot more attention. What will be interesting is I think that we'll see a lot more scrutiny on the state level in terms of our journalists in the community kind of looking more at Aurora, what's been going on here, and hopefully seeing a lot more, just being able to like dig in below the surface more than what some of our local news outlets have the capacity to do, just because our newsrooms are a lot smaller these days than they used to be. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So. The time is now 8:18 a.m. So let me see. Where did that go? Okay. Cruz Ocho, good morning. Maria Chirito, good morning to you as well. Monica.
Yes.
If you would be so kind, take us to a commercial. Give us like 3 joints, and then bring us back.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Here are your local headlines. Real news, real people, real stories, 100% Aurora. Don't forget to please subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay up to date on all of our content. There you can also watch all of our interviews and receive notifications when we go live. Thursday, January 27th from 6 to 7:30 p.m., the virtual Parent Cafe will be taking place online via Zoom. This event is hosted by the Kane County Health Department and Be Strong Families. Come discuss the joys and challenges of parenting with fellow families and parents. The flyer has been shared on our Facebook page, and you can scan the QR code. Which I do have an interesting thing that I've noticed a lot about the QR codes and the flyers, which is like a brilliant idea, right? Because you have the QR code and you don't have to put like so many details on that flyer because people can scan. But if you but if you put it on social media, like on Facebook, like how are you gonna scan a QR code on your phone?
You're already on your phone.
Right.
You gotta have a friend.
Another phone. So it's like an awesome idea, but I've noticed that.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's great to put it like on the walls and stuff like that, but
it's very circular.
yeah. But yeah. Anyways.
Moving on.
Yes. Get ready for more community help Thursday, the 27th. Our friends of VNA Healthcare, Alderwoman Juani Garza, Alderwoman Shakira Hartburns, State Representative Stephanie Kifowit, and the City of Aurora are holding 2 events. The first will be at New Community Baptist Church from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The second will be at Main Baptist Church from noon to 2 p.m. Health resources for kids and families are free. The flyer has been shared to our social media. For more information, you can call 630-585-1308. And this will be a vaccination clinic.
Yes, it will be. It'll be another great vaccination there. Look forward to seeing you all there. Please share that information. That is very important. Coming off the heels of another successful event called Operation 60505 at Sacred Heart Church in Aurora, which went very well. Shouts out to our friends of the Neighbor Project and VNA Healthcare and Unidos and Immigration Solidarity DuPage. Shouts out. Word up. Word up. All right, the time is now 8:21 a.m. Good morning to you, Karina Suarez Darden as well. Cindy Morales, thank you very much. And Josue Pais says you screenshot it.
Yeah, but you can't screenshot the thing. You're already looking at the thing. You gotta be like looking at it on your computer and then take the picture with your phone. It's a whole thing. Or we could just include links, which we do.
Yep.
That's because that is a service we provide for you, the listener.
All right. Thank you very much for your insight, Josue. We appreciate that very much. Thank you. That was very nice of you. All right. What's next?
What's next? I don't know. You want to talk? Well, so, okay. We're going to back up a little because prior to all of the crazy, our mayor is running for governor news coming out this week, I had embarked upon a project that I would like to share with you all, which is so it was the end of the year. At the end of the year, I took a look at all of the campaign contributions that came in over the past year. Into the urban campaign. Now, this is an intention to do this on a routine basis whenever we're in the middle of, like, just at the end of the year, an election cycle, right, where you've got the pilot, when you've got everyone. It's good to see where all of the money comes from and all of the campaigns that are happening around you. Right. Of course, this, in a way, has now become mildly irrelevant because over the past year, the mayor's campaign contributions have totaled about $225,000 for the Urban for Aurora campaign. How long
has he been mayor? Since getting reelected? That just feels like it just happened.
It did just happen. It was it was not
last year.
It was last year.
Yeah.
It was in April. So in 2021, the Urban for Aurora campaign pulled in about $225,000 roughly. Okay. Of course, we're not currently in a mayoral run at this moment because, as you noted, he just got elected, and also he's going to run for governor, and that's going to be like millions of dollars campaign, right? As opposed to this small peanuts here. But what I do think is interesting, I think that when I talk about what is the effect going to be on our mayor running for state office, is going to be increased scrutiny on what's happening here in Aurora.
Right.
I think that one of the first things that if I were going to do as a state reporter down at the State House or something like that would be to start looking at campaign contributions, because this is a thing that has come up in the past with the mayor's campaigns. Back in 2018, the Beacon wrote a story pointing out, like, hey, Scientel just came to town and dropped a boatload of money on the Irvin campaign, and is that cool? Like, because they had to get a whole bunch of project approvals to come to town and incentives and things like that, right?
Scientel from Lyle.
Scientel, yeah. Yes, yeah. So when they came in, they've had several, and this year alone, they've continued to contribute to the mayor's campaign to the tune of about $35,000 or so in donations of the $225,000 or so. So like a big chunk of the money that came in this year came from Scientel or employees of Scientel. And you might also recall earlier this year that they got, what did they get? The camera, the closed caption television maintenance contract for the whole city, right? So along with a couple of other like smaller contracts too. So that's just kind of like one in a series of all of the mayor's campaign contributions. If you were to take those in one list and city contracts in another list, right? Now, I want to be very clear. That is not illegal. That is not like you are allowed, if you do business within the city of Aurora, you are allowed to get, or really anywhere, like campaign contribution laws are basically non-existent in this country.
Right.
I mean, like they exist, but all they mostly say is like you've got to report it.
Paper tiger.
Yeah, right. So that is not illegal. However, it's always like important to a free democracy to be able to look at that paper trail. So that is what we've done. So in addition to the Scientel contributions, other major contributors this year included like Pacifica Square, which is the huge development that went out out by Route 59.
Right.
It was about $10,000 or so. There's also smaller stuff too, which is also really typical. The Mega Fun Park got a liquor license just a couple of months after they contributed just like $1,000 or whatever. The Bureau of Gravity, which has like a routine like standing contract, their contributor every year, their contributors. Progressive Business Solutions, which is the city's energy consultant. And they get a small contract every year, but it kind of like it's like a rolling contract. They're a contributor. FH Passion, they did the fencing out at the airport. They got a contract for $85,000 to put fencing out there. And they also rent office space from the city now. They contributed. One of the ones that's like really like a little odd, I thought, was the city's federal lobbyist, Barnes and Thornburg, contributed in like, or at least their contribution got reported in basically the same week that they got their contract with the city. So
wait. What? Okay.
So the city pays for a federal lobbyist, right? We have a guy that we send to, well, we've got one that we send to Washington. We've got one that we send to Springfield, right? That is very standard. Lots of cities do that these days because they'll go down there and they'll be like, we really need this law passed so that we can do this thing in the town and be really beneficial to the people. That's totally normal. It's a little obnoxious that we have to pay someone to go to Washington and do that for us, but that's how democracy works. So, is that
a City of Aurora employee, or is that another?
Not an employee. So it's a lobbyists are usually independent, like they worked on the Hill before, like in some they were a staffer for somebody or something like that, and they go into business for themselves as a lobbyist. And so then we pay that lobbyist to go and talk to all of our representatives for us and try to get stuff passed, right? So our lobbyist is Barnes and Thornburg. They are on retainer with the city for $6,500 a month. The date that contract went through was in towards the end of December, around the 21st or so, and there's a reported contribution to the mayor's campaign for $5,000 for the end of December. So, which is just a little like, really, again, fully legal. Nothing like, and no, like, not technically considered wrongdoing in any way, shape, or form.
So no.
This is
impropriety.
No impropriety.
The
like,
word of the day, Monica.
Here's impropriety.
Impropriety.
So here's the difference between Michelle Gums, have I mentioned that Citizens United sucks? Dark money all over the country is said. Yes, Michelle. Yes. In addition to some of these like really obvious contributions, right, that are kind of like, really, this guy, like in the same week, the money going here to going here.
Right.
There are also a number of contributions from different political action committees and things like that, which we have no idea who's really like behind all of that, right?
They have names, right?
They do. do. They've got So let me find one of them. Usually it's like the Real Estate Political Action Committee. Yeah, like the Realtor Political Action Committee is a contributor, right? The IBEW Illinois, so right, the union, the Illinois Brotherhood of International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, right? Union, their PAC, right? So lots of the Leona laborers, their PAC, right? So there's a lot of union contributions, which is pretty standard for all politicians anywhere.
Right.
But yeah, there's still a lot of PAC money, but you just don't kind of like know where that comes. Like, you know, it can be a little diffuse sometimes where that money comes from. So again, totally legal. And I lost my train of thought. Hold on. We're going to back the train up. Thank you. Good
job, DJ.
Thank you. Okay. So yes, we have these contracts. What I was going to say, yes. So in Aurora, this is totally legal, right? In the country, this is totally legal. We did attempt to pass an ethics ordinance back in 2019. There was a move from one of our aldermen to push forward an ethics law that would prevent anyone doing business with the city from from contributing to any campaign. The city did pass an ethics ordinance. It just didn't have any of that in there. The only thing that was really in the ethics ordinance was we took all of the rules that currently exist and we kind of put them in one section of the code.
Right.
And then we decided that if someone wants to complain about an ethics violation, instead of going to an ethics committee that the city keeps, which we haven't really maintained in 20 years, they're going to go complain to DuPage County and they'll take care of investigating the complaint.
So what was the ethics thing supposed to solve?
So that an ethics, you can write these ordinances in any way that you want, but in theory you could have written an ethics ordinance that prevented that said we can't award contracts to anybody who has given who has donated to a campaign, right?
Okay.
In the past year or something like that. Usually it's a time frame or something like that. So we could have done something like that. We did not.
Josue says, hold on a second, I want to read what he just wrote.
Let's do it.
Josue says, this is why I sometimes don't like politics. One hand washes the other.
Yeah, so there's a valid argument to be made on the other side, right? So I'm a developer, let's say I'm DAC Developers, and they gave a contribution, and they're the ones bringing in that new building that's going right on the riverfront, right? That used to be
by Jake's Bagels.
By Jake's Bagels, the parking lot, right? So they're putting in this new building. They contributed some money. They also then got a refund, which I don't really understand how that works, but also many of their architects that were on the project, and what you'll see a lot of times is not that the developer themselves is contributing, but the architects, the contractors, the other companies that are part of the project contribute to the overall project, or contribute to the mayor's campaign or to other elected officials' campaigns. So it's not the developer themselves, but it's kind of the overall development. Now, here's the counter argument, to be really fair, is that if I am a developer or I'm an architect or a contractor or something working on these developments,
right?
I really believe in Aurora. I believe in what the mayor's doing in Aurora. That's why I'm putting my building here. That's why I'm moving my business here. That's why I'm doing whatever it is that I'm doing, right? So in that regard, it makes absolute sense that I think the mayor's doing great things for Aurora. I have a positive outlook on this city. I think he's doing great things in terms of development, maybe getting rid of red tape that's really unnecessary, something like that. I want to see this guy continue his vision forward for the city. Right. Here's $5,000, right? So if we're being really fair, And I do think that is a valid, in America, we have decided, the Supreme Court has been like, yeah, sure, we have decided that money is a voice, right? Like, you are allowed to contribute as much, up to campaign limits or whatever, to say that, like,
what is the limit?
This is what I believe. So for an individual, I think it's like $6,000 or something like that, but it really also kind of depends, because, like, Ken Griffin is going to put millions in there, and it's just how it gets there, I think, is the difference. So, yeah.
Strange, because I don't know about Josue's, well, it's not that I don't know about his comment, but he said, hold on a second, one hand washes the other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That sounds a little bit...
nefarious.
It does, and that doesn't suggest that people wouldn't do nefarious things, but it's not really a one hand washes the other thing if there's development and bidding and all that. I don't see how it's a one hand washes the other. Like, we're not washing, if the end result is something is getting built, to use that DAC developer analogy, if the end result is that a big apartment complex is going to come, and
it's a thing we want to see in town,
I don't see how that's it's not like the mayor's benefit. He's already got a crib, so it's not like they're building him a house.
He's benefiting by getting the campaign contribution, right? And the developer's benefiting by getting whatever it is that whatever sticking point it is that maybe technically it's not zoned that way, or technically it's like, oh, you can only put, so you have to have this many parking spaces, or whatever, like that would be the like quid pro quo that I am not saying is happening here. To be clear, I am not saying that is happening here, because here's the difference between legal and illegal contributions in this city, in overall, in the state, in the country. Here's the difference, right? Mm-hmm. You will all remember a certain governor with some amazing hair, right, who knew that certain things were valuable, and you don't just give that ish away, right?
Rod Blagojevich.
Thank you. So, who, by the way, is apparently an avid jogger now that he's gotten out of jail, and you can just when he goes running in the city, and sometimes you wave, and he just gets really sad because he knows that you know him, and he's just out there like jogging. Anyway, the difference between something that's okay, right, and something that's not okay is when it's specifically, I will give you this campaign contribution, politician,
right,
and you will give me this thing. And we have talked about this on the phone, and the FBI has recorded it, right? Or like there's some paper trail or something like that. That's when it becomes a one hand washing the other. That's when it becomes like an illegal quid pro quo, right? When something is promised in exchange for something else. Everything else is just coincidence. Now, we can argue, reasonable minds can disagree over whether or not it's cool for there to be quite so much coincidence all the time, right?
Well, no, the Rod Blagojevich...
And not just in one person. I'm saying broadly as a country.
The Rod Blagojevich thing was, like, fantastically corrupt. Because he was trying to sell a Senate seat.
Correct.
Yeah, for money. Correct.
It was, like, straight up, like... textbook, you cannot do this.
Right.
So it's a very distinct line that I want to be clear about. That
also on that call was Jesse Jackson Jr. and his wife. The time is now 8:38 a.m. All right. Thank you. Simon Rodriguez is here. Good morning, Simon. Great conversation. We appreciate it. It's corruption, but it's light because it's a game of degrees. Washing your hands is good.
Thank you, nurse, for reminding us to wash our hands. Right. That's true. Wash your own hands.
Okay, take Monica, please. Where there have been a lot of coincidences. Thank you, Vanessa. That's a good point.
Again, now. And I, here I've concentrated on the mayor's contributions over the past year, right? Because we're in Aurora, the year has closed. That's all. That's what I have too much time on my hands apparently to cross-reference things in spreadsheets. But let's be clear that this is a problem across the country at every level of our government, right? It's either a problem or it's just like, no, we agree that this is how it works, right? That I have money and I get to contribute. So, the big the big argument that came to light in the national conversation over the past couple months has been, the death of the Build Back Better plan, right? Right, and that being held up by Joe Manchin because Joe Manchin gets a lot of his money from coal interests, right? Like, again, totally legal for Joe Manchin to get all of his money from coal interests, right? In the state of West Virginia, where they just chop the tops of mountains off to turn them into coal. Totally legal. Is that how we want to run our democracy? So this question really goes beyond any one person to a much wider systemic question of like, how do we want two billionaires duking it out in a proxy war for the state government? Do we want our campaign on smaller levels, our campaign contributions and our contracts to be quite so overlapping of a Venn diagram?
How do we stop it, though?
How do we stop it?
Yeah.
So on the smaller level, right, first of all, we could reverse Citizens United, right? That allowed all of this dark money to move into the campaign system on the larger level. We could enact like limits on how much we spend on campaigns, right? Like if a gubernatorial campaign's got a cap of $1 million and you can only, right, then it levels the playing field in terms of dollar spend. And so you have to be smart about how you spend that $1 million to get your ads out. But A, we're all going to get a lot fewer ads, which would be lovely. And B, we might have to rely on like people's ideas rather than like, and the quality of those ideas rather than just the repetition of those ideas, right? So, and then you would have a lot less influence coming in from different sectors, different industries, different individuals, right? You wouldn't have two billionaires duking it out. You would, because lots of people can come up with $1 million from small donors, right? So,
well, it's not two billionaires duking it out because there's still other people running.
Correct.
There's a guy named Darren Bailey.
There are other people
who's running. He's running down there in Xenia, Illinois. Well, he's from Xenia, but he's running from governor. And there's another guy named, his last name is Rabin.
Yeah, so there are 5, I think, people running in the Republican primary for governor. I'm Googling it right now. So there are multiple people still running, right? So what's going to happen though is we've got the primary in June, right? Mm-hmm. And either there will be a flood of money behind one candidate to kind of push them to the forefront if it's kind of if men in smoking jackets behind closed doors kind of agree that this is our guy, right? Or they'll all duke it out and then it'll be two billionaires against each other. Because whatever's going to, Ken Griffin has come out publicly and said that he is all in to defeat Pritzker, whatever it takes. Like, he's just going to throw all the money at it, just like what happened with the referendum for the fair tax, right? So either way, it's going to be Pritzker digging into his own pockets, which are worth $3 billion, against Ken Griffin digging into his own pockets to back somebody, and those pockets are worth $26 billion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of messed up.
All right.
Then look, maybe, like, here's the other argument. Maybe people who make a lot of money are really smart and deserve to run things. I'm not super convinced of that argument, but I guess some people might make that.
Yeah, that's...
Because I'm really smart, too. I just don't have $26 billion.
The time is 8:44 a.m. Monica, we're on a commercial? Mm-hmm. All right.
Let's go.
I got to deliver this to you, people. Bear with me real quick as I pull up this piece of...
Is it breaking news?
You know what?
Dun, 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 dun,
it
dun,
is.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you very much. It is breaking news. Breaking news as I just saw it this morning. Well, just got printed last night. January 22nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Grace Community Christian Church, 2770 Montgomery Road. There's going to be a pop-up vaccination clinic. Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines will be available, as well as flu shots. Let me see here. COVID-19 doses for 5 years and older. Third, COVID-19 doses for 12 years and older, and flu vaccine for age 4 and up. This is brought to us by our friends of V&A, the Greater Fox Valley Area Kiwanis Club, Big Apple Bagels, Alderman Ed Bug, and Grace Community Christian Church. Thank you very much for this helpful information. Shouts out to Grace Community Christian Church and Kiwanis. Last piece of information for you is, let's see here, Monday, January 31st. Join Judge Bianca Camargo for a meet and greet at Mike and Denise's. Mike and Denise's is located at 1760 North Farnsworth Avenue in Aurora. This will be from 5 to 8 p.m. Enjoy delicious pizza, meet your local Aurora Circuit Judge, and sign her candidate petition. Dope. Special guests will be Illinois Senator Karina Villa and Kane County Circuit Court Judge Renee Cruz. Do you want to volunteer for the campaign? Well, you can do so by emailing judgecamargo@gmail.com and let them know that you heard about it on Good Morning Aurora.
And
Okay.
can I just give a shout out to the fine people of Aurora who are getting really invested in the hyper-local elections, because we have been putting out a lot of information about people running for, like, judge around here.
Right.
Nobody ever pays attention to judge. A lot of, most people, they walk into the, like, voting booth and they go, oh, crap, you vote for judges? Right? Like... I guess I'll go for the Democrats, or I guess I'll go for the Republicans, or I've never heard of this guy before.
Yeah. As we mentioned to people, you gotta learn who these people are, because your life is affected far more.
Especially if you end up, in front of one of them one day,
Right?
Right? And they're sitting there splitting up your stuff with your ex, and you're like, oh crap, did I vote for this guy? Right?
Here's
Or
something
gal.
that Ben says here. He says, I think we're talking about the money, Ben, but he says, and oil and pharmaceuticals and financial sectors and information technology and healthcare. It's everywhere. Clear defined rules, public finance of campaigns. Let it be a collective decision versus a post hoc victory recursion.
Yeah, so there he's talking, I think, about the redistricting issues too, right, that have been currently going on, because once you, like, when you're talking about the down the ticket races,
Right.
where, what happens is you vote based on your district, and your district is decided by whoever won the last time around every 10 years. And so then the map gets more and more twisted, and it's between the gerrymandering of districts and the huge amounts of money going into these campaigns. It's really easy, I think, for American voters to look and go, like, why bother? But when it comes to these local elections, like our judges and stuff like that, that's where you really can, like, if there's any optimist left in me, it's organizing at the grassroots level for the very, very, like, for the field team, right? For the, like, AAA baseball, like, for building up those people that are your neighbors who are, like, running for stuff like school board.
Deb Sturgis says, there have been more corrupt governors in the past, but not caught. Yeah, I think that's the problem that Illinois has, that kind of taints the whole thing, because we've had a number of governors who've gone to prison. The most recent was Rod Blagojevich. Because before him was the guy, the trucking license scandal, Jim Ryan.
We've had a list. So we've had 6, I think, which ties us with Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So for the most. So I don't know why I don't want to sign up for the job of governor of Illinois at this point. But what it's like, here's, I guess, my overarching call for this whole campaign. Like, the money is what it is. We can't escape that at this point, because we haven't done any, like, real campaign finance reform in this country. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, this is the fight that we're going to have. But what I just what I just want to see, like, a fair fight, like, in terms of the rhetoric. Like, one thing that we are blessed with in Illinois is that, yes, we have the Chicago versus downstate divide, but on the whole, as a state, like, I think that there is more space here for us to have conversations on the state level that can be that are at a lower boiling point than some of the national conversations, right? Like, let's have a campaign where we're not screaming at each other and lying. That would be nice. That's all I kind of really want to see. That's my hope and for the campaign overall. So one of the examples that I go back to exemplify why Illinois might be in the position to do that is the Rauner administration, which was financially disastrous. Like, it was disastrous in many ways, but he was also a pro-choice Republican, which you don't see very often. He's very vocal about his support for pro-choice things, and so in Illinois, we have proven ourselves in the past willing to concede on hot button issues for, behind different candidates you wouldn't really expect. Now, again, disastrous administration financially, and I was a little bit like the Irvin's campaign video comes out strong against, like, we're gonna fix Illinois' financial problems, and I'm kind of like that. It like makes me cringe because under the Pritzker administration, our finances have gotten demonstrably better, like hugely better. Like, does anyone remember the Rauner administration when we could not pass a budget in this state to save our lives? There was just no budget. Like, if you worked for nonprofits, as many of the listeners on this show do, you remember just like, I guess we're furloughed because there's no money coming in from the state right now, right? Our credit rating tanked. It went down 24 times over the past, like, 2 decades. Our credit rating has finally started to go back up again because we, raised taxes and cut spending and, like, generally got things. Well, I don't know if we cut spending, but whatever. We generally got, like, our credit rating has improved, which means when we do have to borrow money, it's a lot cheaper. So, like, you're not paying interest. It's basically, like, under the past few years, financially, we've gotten better, right? Which is a huge feat for a state to do. We're still ranked 47th or something like that in terms of financial responsibility or in states, but, like, it's an upward trend. And so to do that, and also to put, like, to say that we're in a bad financial spot and that you're going to fix it, and to, like, also put like Pritzker's face next to Madigan's in your campaign contributions. Those are, like,
was that an ad?
Yeah, that's in the mayor's campaign video or whatever. Whenever you put those two faces together, it's kind of like calling out the dogs, right, of the downstate Republicans. Right. And for probably valid reasons, right, in terms of, like, everybody hates Madigan, but to, like, put those two next to each other is just kind of like it's like meant to trigger people rather than actually, like, assess what the relationship is between those two politicians. And so I'm just calling for, like, let's just be cool. Let's just, like, have on both sides an honest campaign for once. I know that's very Pollyanna of me and will never happen, and we're literally looking at the next 10 months of just, like, screaming matches on TV and ads and stuff like that. But, like, that's my wish. Just everybody be nice. The same thing I ask for every week.
Interesting, because I don't know that the campaign, I mean, we got a lot of time before November. I'm anxious to see how it goes and develops, because this first week here has been somewhat strange. It's been announced, but it doesn't seem to really
be, like, taken off.
No, it really doesn't. Like, it doesn't really seem to be.
I mean, I think that the field is simply,
here in Aurora,
we're talking about it.
People are spicy about it, but it really doesn't seem to be like. There's other people making more news who are running for governor, and I don't think that's a reflection of Richard Irvin. I think it's just a matter of, like, I don't think the governorship of Illinois has as much flair as it used to have. That's what I think. Like, I think that, like, people are
Like you're saying the national conversation's not really paying attention yet?
Yeah,
I think the national conversation will start paying more attention when we get further along and when it becomes more apparent that this is a race of billionaires duking it out. It'll also get more attention relative to in the bigger conversation of are Democrats losing control nationally, right? That's going to be the big, like, are Democrats going to get walloped in the midterms?
Actually, that reminds me. So Ben just said something. Dems are getting blown out for sure, yes. And the Democratic Party got bad news recently. I read this to you guys yesterday. Senate Democrats failed to advance voting rights legislation and changes to the filibuster. The world's biggest L for Joe Biden happened just this week on Wednesday. As we told you guys yesterday, the vote to end debate on the bill was shot down 51-49, with every Republican voting against moving the bill to the Senate floor. Democrats needed 60 votes to overcome the filibuster, and hours later, a separate vote to change the filibuster rules for the voting rights bill so it could pass with a simple majority of 51 votes also failed. L's,
womp womp.
L's all over the place.
It's
not good.
Yeah. Though the one win that the Democrats do have going for them right now, oddly, is that everyone sort of thought that the redistricting maps would not follow the way of the Democrats over for the next 10 years, and so far they kind of seem to be at least holding steady, which is interesting. Now, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks ago, and the bigger story there is not, does the map look more blue or does the map look more red? I feel like the bigger story, and this is like not to leave everyone on a depressing note for the democracy or for the future of democracy in America on their Friday going into their weekend, but it's really like how deep into either camp are each individual district, right? So like, again, in Illinois, you might be used to, like, you go into the voting booth and you're like, well, I'm going to vote for president, but it's not really going to matter because I live in Illinois. It's a blue state where all of our delegates are going to go to the Democrats, and so like, I guess I'll vote Green Party or vote for the crazy party, or vote for Mickey Mouse, right? It feels like it doesn't matter.
Right.
And the more and more and more of those districts that are so heavily decided by how the district is drawn, the less people feel invested in their democracy, the less they feel like they have any real say in it. So we've got that. We've got, billionaires. We've got, that's where we're at, right? And we've got a filibuster. That's where we're at.
What a cynical...
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so maybe let's look forward to the weekend. What are you doing this weekend?
Good morning, Aurora. Hope you have a nice day today and stay safe out there this weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gloria. We needed that. We needed the love.
Much appreciated. So the time is 8:57. Holy cow.
We're there.
I need to read this to you guys.
We're going to read this thing real fast, then we'll talk about our weekends.
Kane County, we told you yesterday, is planning a memorial event as the county nears 1,000 deaths with COVID-19. This came out Wednesday, and there were 929 deaths currently in Kane County due to COVID-19. This is Kane County officials plan to lay a wreath at the Kane County Courthouse on 3rd Street in Geneva during a memorial ceremony after the grim toll is reached. They're kind of like waiting for it. That's a little disturbing. But let me read here. Okay. Here we go. So on November 18th of last year, the county saw 139 cases of COVID-19 per 100,000 tests. But over the last week, stats showed 915 cases per 100,000 tests. Yikes. And according to Kane County Board Chair Corinne Pirog, quote, we want to recognize all the people and all the healthcare workers and our county workers and families who've gone through this crisis. This is a time for healing and recognition. It's not necessarily a call to action, but a call of memory. Yeah, I don't know.
It really could be a call to action, though. Wear your mask.
I think it qualifies as a
get your
call
vaccine.
To action.
Gosh, yeah. I would like it to be.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
What's your weekend look like?
You know what? This is a weekend I'm literally just gonna like chill. I'm gonna read some books. I'm gonna check out Aurora Public Art on CBS. Thanks, Marissa Almoni. We're gonna do that. In the comments. I am going to, I'm going to just take some me time, draw a bubble bath, read a book that I don't have to read for any specific reason. Nothing that's going to further my career in any way. It's just some dumb novel, probably. It'll be great.
Sounds good. Monica, what about you?
School.
School. Get your education on.
So books that are going to further your career then. Yeah.
So
That's good.
last but not least, people, we told you that the Aurora Public Library is hiring. One last thing real quick. Very, very, very quickly. The Alive Teen Center has spring programming that's open. All activities are teen-led and teen-driven. Dare to Be Rare series, the first and third Monday of every month, begins February 7th. 5 to 6 p.m., grades 5 through 9. Change Makers, a service club, begins February 9th. 4 to 5 p.m., grades 5 through 12. SFX Makeup Club begins February 2nd, 4:30 to 5:30, grades 5 through 12. And then the Theater Club, which meets the first and third Friday of every month, begins February 4th, 5 to 6 p.m., and grades 5 through 12. We posted this as well. Shout out to the Alive Center for all they do.
Also from a recommendation from downtown Aurora, go see the new show at the Riverfront Playhouse. It's the Steve Martin play about Picasso at the Lapin.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, any other recommendations from we got a mother-daughter weekend happening from Josie Mendoza Geller. Good. That's sweet. I like that. Maybe I'll take my mom out to dinner this week.
All right.
Hi, Mom. Documentary at the venue on Sunday night. Okay. All right. Very good. We got anything else? Marissa's got the hookup on the list of all the things to do this weekend, as always.
Thank you very much, Marissa.
I mean, you can always check out Downtown Aurora. .org, and then they'll all be there. AuroraDowntown.org. Google it.
So we hope that you guys enjoyed the show. Remember, the 27th, the most important thing that you have to do is get ready for the 27th and share that information about the vaccine event that's coming up and taking place. Other than that, next week will be a big week, so stay tuned for that. Stay woke. But other than that, I want you to become aware and vote and get ready to vote and vote some more and be civic minded.
Yeah, we're not going to give up on this.
We're
going to, as grim as it seems sometimes.
We are not.
Democracy.
We need you guys to vote.
The great experiment.
Other than that, take care of yourself and each other.
Adios, Aurora.
Just pause for a second.